Okay, so can everyone see the slides?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So today's topic is on the novelty in research. So what is novelty? How, how you define novelty in a research? So it is actually a kind of a question you ask in your research. It is the problem statement. It is the problem you are trying to tackle. It is the invention you are trying to make. It is the discovery you are interested on, which defines the novelty in your research. It is actually the main point of your research. It is the main point which you highlight, you try to present everywhere, if, even to your supervisor, in your research paper, in your thesis, in your presentations. This is the point which you always highlight. So it is a very important point. And you, in your research, you always try to provide like what will be the contribution of this research, what is the significance of this thing which you are trying to study, and you will clearly define it everywhere. Either it is in your research paper, it is in your presentations, defense, thesis, everywhere. So novelty is very important. What does novelty mean? It is the, you can say, a uniqueness, anything new in your research, something people don't know before, and something which has not been discovered or invented, if you talk in a broader sense. So this is defines the novelty, that state or a quality of being novel. So for a research, if you are doing the research and in your master's or in your PhD, the big question is, has it already been done? Has it already been studied? Has it already been discovered? Has it already been invented? If the answer is yes, the then your research is not novel. Okay. If the answer is no or maybe, then yes, the, your research will be novel. And in your if you plan to do PhD, this becomes more important, the novelty. In your masters, this question of novelty is still very important, but you can still pass your master's degree if you're no, if you are unable to satisfy your supervisors or the defense committee that your research was has some issues related to the novelty. And at the undergraduate level, that is not a major concern, the novelty. In undergraduate, we are just giving this flavor of a research, or in their final year projects, like what is a research and how you write a thesis, and that's it. So there is no question of novelty at undergraduate. If they are able to find some novelty and publish it, something, that is an extra bonus to them. In masters, we expect some novelty, but if you are unable to do provide some novelty, you still will be able to clear your master's research degree. But in PhD, you can't pass your degree, or you can't secure your PhD if you are unable to satisfy the exam committee that the research has a novelty. So this novelty depends upon the level at which you are doing the research. Okay, so now this is an example. Any one of you can tell me, is it novel, or there are two pictures, two different paintings, I would say, and Do you find a novelty or do you think it's copied? Any one of you? You can raise your hand. Yes. Anyone?
Sir, novelty, sir, because now I see tents and human presence. So something have been created or someone has discovered. After it means that after a long time, someone discovered new habitat or living spaces. So it is new now.
Okay, Zarak. I got your point. Okay. Anyone else?
Sir, I think it's not novel, but addition to already existing thing.
Okay, Abdullah, you are trying to give your comments.
Uh, yes, sir. I don't think that it has any novelty in it because it is reproduction of the same old thing with a few additions to it.
Okay. Anyone else? Bilal, you have a comment on it? Anyone
Yes,
else?
sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir. I
Bilal.
think that, sir, I think it is the reproduction of the same thing which someone else also pointed out, and I don't think so. There's any novelty in it.
Okay, thank you. So this is actually news on the Sydney Herald, and this was the, if you go through the news, you will find that some of the people, especially the editor, he is saying that what I see of it, it's not influenced by the Dutch painter, it's actually copied from him. So from my point of view, it is a flicker of that rather odious post-modernist practice of appropriation with which essentially is theft. So it is a kind of a theft. So novelty, it's very important that if you are your research or whatever you are doing, it's not novel, then then there is a very high probability that it is a kind of a theft. It is something which is plagiarized, so we don't want that. Okay, so so now my question is, can we do research without novelty? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please comment.
But most of the time अगर किसी एक एनवायरनमेंट में कोई चीज इन्वेंट हो जाए तो जरूरी नहीं है कि वो किसी दूसरे एनवायरनमेंट में भी उसी तरह फंक्शन परफॉर्म करे, तो उस दूसरे एनवायरनमेंट में उसको चेक करने के लिए उसी को रिप्लिकेट किया जाता है, तो ये भी एक टाइप ऑफ रिसर्च है.
So no, I guess you didn't understand my question, Arbaz. My question is that to do research or to do anything, do there should be is there should be a question like what is the novelty in this research or no? There should not be a question like what is the novelty in this research.
Sir,
Should the exam committee ask you what is the novelty in this research, or they should not ask you what is the novelty in this research?
so I believe they should ask us.
They
Yes,
should
sir, they
ask.
should have
They should ask you. Okay. So you understand the importance. You by yourself have understand the importance of the novelty, that there the exam committee should ask you what is so new about it. Okay, so whenever you are doing your research, either in your masters or if you plan to go for PhD, be very careful about this question, what is the novelty. Okay, so regarding the development of the research, there is a concept known as a Hegelian dialect, the Hegelian dialectic. So this is a kind of a development of a logic by asking questions and giving answers and the development of a research thesis. So in the Hegelian dialect, there is always a kind of an, I would say, an argument against your research, against your answers, against your questions, which is known as an antithesis. And then you have to resolve this conflict by uh, either studying the for and against questions, and then you have to see that where your thesis or your question lies, and then you actually synthesize after analyzing the antithesis to further modify or elaborate your thesis. This process also helps you in the development of the novelty in your research or the problem statement, I would say. So there is another concept of a writing a patent. Patent is something, an invention. Every country motivates the researchers, people who are working in the industry or factories or anywhere, to motivate them to write a patent, to link some invention with your name, that okay, this was done by Mr., let's suppose, Abdullah, that this is the novelty, or this is done by Mr. Abdullah, so this patent is against, and anyone, if he uses your invention, so he has to tell that okay, I'm using the invention by Mr. Abdullah, and this is the patent ID. So what is a patent? Patent is actually something, it is a kind of an invention which has the novelty, which means that the invention has not been publicly disclosed in any form anywhere in the world. So it is an invention by you. No one knows about it. No one has done. For example, the Tesla car. So they have a patent with their name. So they, whenever they have made electric cars, and they have written a patent for themselves, and no one else can claim that I am the one who has who has invented it. Okay. So it involves an inventive steps for a standard patent. This means that the invention must not be obvious to someone with the knowledge and experience in the technological field of invention. So if you are doing an invention in a certain domain, you are trying to find out or you are trying to develop some problem, or you are trying to solve some problem by doing something, it should not be very obvious that okay, what's so new about it. And if you talk to a person who is more knowledgeable than you, he says that oh, this is very common, it's a common sense, we all know about it. So then it is not an invention. See, for an innovation patent, it must involve some steps of innovation. This means that any variation between the invention and what is currently known about the technology must make a substantial contribution. So there is a substantial contribution in some domain of technology. So whatever technology you are bringing, for example, there are so many technologies in the field of civil engineering, like development of compressed bricks, or the, for example, the development of some aerated concretes, or for example, in the domain of uh, uh, in other, like transports and water resource, developing some methodology or experimental procedures to study a certain property. So these all are innovations. Okay, but you have to make sure that innovation is not known anywhere in the world. And generally writing a patent, we don't expect a master's student to write a patent. If you can, that is amazing. Generally people who has done an extensive research, they know the problems, and then they try to solve the problems by doing some innovations, and then they write a patent. If you have a knowledge in certain domain that much that you can identify a problem, okay, this is a very common problem in this domain and no one knows how to solve it, and then you try to create some innovation to solve it, then you can write a patent on it. Okay, and yes, you can do it, but at the master's degree we don't, uh, I would say, force or expect you to have a patent. But before I move on, just to let you know, there is a facility in NUST. There is a patent office. You all should visit it. They have a staff over there. What they do is that if you have done your master's research, it is a very simple process. You share your thesis or your research paper or anything with them. They read it and they let you know that, okay, is there a possibility of a patent from it or not? And if there is a possibility, they help you in writing a patent. So it's a form. They help you in writing that form and submit. There is a certain fees for writing a patent, and then they submit it to an international patent office and whatever. So that is a facility available at NUS. If you want to use it, you can use it, and I would motivate you all to go through it on the website, and if you get the chance, visit their office. And at the stage when you finish your master's degree, so do try to publish a patent. It is an achievement in itself. Any question before I move on? Okay, I guess yes, Abdullah,
Yeah.
you have a question.
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask whether writing a patent is a completely different process than a thesis, or we just extract
Yes,
from thesis and write a patent.
patent is a uh, patent is actually a very different process than thesis. In thesis, you explain your research, how you have done it. In a patent, you actually tell about your innovation, and you tell all the details about your innovation. For example, you are making some innovative bricks by using some materials which we don't know about, and then you tell that, okay, this brick is made up of this and these are the mixed designs and all these details, and then you indicate that what it actually helps to do and what are the results. So the format of a patent is a very concise, very straightforward. It's not like a research paper, okay, that you write an introduction, what is the problem statement. It's not like that. To be very honest, people don't have that much expertise in writing a patent, but you can go through the Google. So there is a different types of patents. American office of every country has their own um, patent, the bodies who actually accept patents, and there is a certain fees as well for submitting a patent.
Okay, sir. Thank
Okay.
you.
So when you are trying to create to find out the novelty, or you are find out the invention, so there is always one stage or a step which is known as the eureka moment. What is a eureka moment? It is, if you search it on the internet, it is known the definition is, it is a kind of a feeling when of joy or celebration when you discover something or you have invented something. So it is something, it is a kind of a feeling you will have when you will finish your research, or something, or maybe when you are trying to figure out something and you are stuck in it and you do it at a certain, so this is a feeling of joy, is known as eureka. Or you can, or in the when you are doing the state of the art literature review, so and you are reading like 10 and 20 research papers and you are stuck and you can't find out the problem statement or for your research or the novelty in your research, but at certain time you came to know that, oh, no one has done this thing. Aha, I have found something interesting. So this is a kind of, this moment is known as the eureka moment. And this will happen to everyone who is doing research, that when they find out the novelty in their research, that is the moment known as eureka. So in this, what you do is you need to know whether what you have done is novel. So how you know? First is you know the field in which you are doing research. What are the current problems which are trying to be investigated or solved? What are the existing solutions? When you read extensive literature on it, then you will come to a eureka. That is, you find out something which has not been solved till now. Then you go back again to the research and look for the specifically for what you have done and how you can solve this problem. So this reading is what many people perceive as research, whereas eureka is the important bit. So this reading is not research. Research is what you do after you have reached the eureka. Okay. So know your object, know your subject. So whatever domain in which you are doing your masters, you should know your subject, argue about it, redesign it, question all aspects of it in the domain you want to work. You often need to be familiar with the problem and its unrelated potential solutions before you put them together. So you have to understand the current problems and the potential solutions. What are the potential solutions which are available or which can be a solution to a problem? And these will be your these information you should have when you are doing the state of the art literature review. Then your thesis must advance the state of the art, even if just a little bit. So whatever you have done in your research, it is just an advancement in the state of the art literature. It is, even if it is a small addition in the literature, it is. And your novel contribution can be a new way of looking at a problem, a new problem, a new solution to a new problem, anything. So these all can, anything new contribution to the state of the art would be the novelty in your research. Okay. Now plagiarism. So that's very important. In this context, as I discussed it earlier, plagiarism is you claiming to have advanced the state of the art, where in fact the state of the art contains what you present. So what is a plagiarism? So this is another way of defining plagiarism. So you say that, okay, whatever I find out, it is new, no one knows about it, no one has studied it, so this is new. But in the state of the art literature review, that has already been done. So this is actually plagiarism, this is not novelty. So whenever you are citing, whenever you are highlighting something, you must cite the previously published any ideas in your work. So if you are even citing an idea from some research, if you are using some idea from the previous research, always cite it, okay, to avoid plagiarism. It is completely fine. You don't have to be an Einstein in your research, that the idea you are presenting is from me, the experimental methodology is from me, the results are done by me, or the extensive ideas or the new methodologies are developed by. No, you should not be someone who is like an extraordinary intelligent person. they, it's bad. It actually, when your research is presented to someone, they become very they are not very happy with this approach. They said that, okay, this person is always saying that I have done this, I have done this, this is and it actually creates a negative image about your research and yourself as well. It's always good that if you have get some information from a paper, always cite it. If you have adopted a methodology from a paper, cite it. If you have followed a standard, cite it. Whatever new in your research, do mention it. This is very important, but don't plagiarize your research. Don't plagiarize others' work. Okay? Or what is a plagiarism? It is a theft. So don't be a thief. So how to read your research? So when you want to read a research, so before I move on, any questions till now? Any question?
Sir, somebody has used previously some satellite images. I'm using some new images from current situation. Would it be considered novelty in my research or not?
So you are saying that these images are new, right?
Yes, sir.
So then it's fine. It's new. It is novel.
Okay, sir.
But if you are like using the satellite images of someone else, then it won't be new in that case. It's better to cite it when you're doing that. Any question? Yes, any question? Okay. So after that, we move on how to read the research. So generally, when we are trying to find out the novelty, what we do is we read from the background, whatever, lot of the research articles across the broad ranges, and then we move to a specific topic. So we start from a broader topic, we move to the specific topic, and then we try to dig in, and as we have discussed it in the previous lectures, we try to ask questions. Why it is done like this, why not like this, has it done like this, he why he has not performed this experiment, this would be an interesting result. So keep on asking questions on that specific topic. You will be able to hit the eureka, you will be able to hit the novelty. And then, so be critical when you are reading the techniques and the results or the problems, and then there you will be able to hit the eureka. So if I draw the picture, so this is the, on the x-axis it's time, and on the y-axis it's the breadth of the reading. So you start from the very general topic, for example, carbon footprint of concrete. Then you move on to a very specific topic. Okay, let's suppose on a deeper domains, what are the methodologies of carbon footprint, then the comparison of the methodologies of the carbon footprint and these things. And then when you keep on doing this, you will come to this eureka, which will become your hypothesis. You come to the problem which has not been identified, which has not been researched. So this is the eureka, and this will become your, you will create a hypothesis out of it. that okay, according to me, this would be your the hypothesis, and then you will have to solve the problem, and you will have to devise the topic, and for that to solve the problem and to how to solve the problem, you will again go to the literature. So this is the process. So first is you will have to find the problem, and then you will read to solve the problem. So you will read it two times. First time you will read for the knowledge. You will keep on reading for the knowledge to find the problem. After hitting the eureka, and you after developing the hypothesis, now you have to solve it. So then you will again read to solve the problem, and in during this process you will meet your supervisors, reviewers, who will read your point of view, who will read your work, why and how do. So the supervisors will actually ask you these questions. Okay, why you are doing this, how you are doing this. Okay, I don't think so it will work. They will actually, or they, okay, why don't you think it like this? Maybe it will work. It will give you some good results. So actually, you will come to your supervisor and you will discuss these things with him. That okay, sir, I was reading and I found out this problem. So this was an interesting thing, but I didn't find any solution to this, and no one is actually looking into it, this domain. And what do you think? Oh yeah, this is an interesting research problem. So then you will try to solve the problem. For example, if my domain is concrete technology, so there is a problem which was identified in 2000 and 2001 when high strength concrete was developed. So high strength concrete is very good. It gives you a high strength. It gives you 8,000, 10,000 psi and this and that. But when high strength concrete was exposed to the high temperature, 800 degrees centigrade, 600 degrees centigrade, it burst. It actually falls off and it bursts explosively. So there is an explosion of the high strength concrete. Oh, why is it like this? So there is another problem created. Why high strength concrete explodes and not the normal strength concrete? So now people start to dig in, and so that is a eureka, and people start to find out the solution to it. Why it is like this? And after finding the solution, the reason, so this is a novelty itself. Then they come to know, oh, because the vapor pressure inside is very high, that's why it explodes. Okay, now the another eureka is developed. Oh, how we can solve this problem? We have a high strength concrete, but at the same time we don't want it to explode. Okay, now what we should do? Again another problem came. People starts to dig in, people starts to do the literature, people start to see, and they try to experiment. They, some experiments pass, some experiments fail, and they publish research papers. So this is how it works. Okay, so when any question regarding the finding out the novelty, or should I move on?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Abdullah.
Uh, Sir, is it possible? Would it be called novelty if two people who are contemporaries find a solution of the same problem um, in the same time period? Would their researches be called novel if they both reproduce it? Matlab, if they both publish it without plagiarism. I mean, at
I
different
got your,
places.
Abdullah, your question is very good. I really like your question, and thank you for asking it. So now the question Abdullah has asked is a very interesting. So like there is a two research groups, two research teams. One is sitting in UNSW Australia, and the other one is sitting in, let's suppose, Alberta University, Canada. Both of them are working on a same problem, same research problem, and both are doing their work on it at the same time. So till now, both have identified the problem. They don't know that the other one is working on the same problem, and they are doing the research. There is a PhD student who is working in a University of Alberta, and there is a PhD student who is working in UNSW Australia on a specific topic. So no, it will not be a plagiarism, it will be a novelty, even if both are working on the same. But yes, the problem arises when one of them has published something. Okay, so I remember when I was doing the my PhD. So my PhD research when I was doing in Australia was the performance of geopolymer concrete in sewer environment. So geopolymer concrete was a new topic. So this concrete was developed like maybe 20 years before, and it was studied. The durability of geopolymer concrete was studied in the different scenarios, but not in the actual field environment. So I was the one who started working on it, but I was following the research groups who are also working on the durability of concrete on sewers, and I was observing them that what are they studying. So someone was working on the cementitious material, someone was working on the binder. So I was very conscious that if they publish their research before me, then my research becomes very difficult for me to publish it, because then I have to tell that what is the novelty in my research, what is not done in his research. For example, Mr. Abdullah, you and me and Mr. Uzair both are working on the same topic. If Mr. Uzair has published it before you, then what will be the problem? The problem will that when you will try to publish the same research, you will have to tell that the Mr. Uzair, you will have to critique Mr. Uzair's work. The assignment 3 which I have given you, the critique, is for this reason, that then in that case you will have to critique Mr. Uzair's research, that yes, hit, he tried to find out the he tried to find out the solution for a very good research problem, and my research is also on the same, but Mr. Uzair was unable to do this research, so it becomes very difficult for you. If you are the first person, then automatically your research will be the first research, and your research will have a very high citations. Okay, so
Yes,
that's
yes, sir.
why it's very important that you have to know that what are the people, where are this research being done in different parts of the world. So you when you are doing your literature, you see the latest research papers and see the people who are doing this research, who are the authors of this research, what are the university from which this research is published. For example, NUST are doing research on self-healing concrete, and some researchers are working on the earthquake analysis of different. So there are multiple domains in which NUST is doing research. So people all around the world who are doing research on self-healing knows that in NUST Pakistan they are publishing 1 or 2 research paper every year on self-healing. Okay, so you have to be very careful. The topic which you are studying, is it a new what are the people who are currently doing research on it? Okay,
Excuse
Yes,
me,
sir.
sir.
yes, Zarak, you have a question?
Sir, can a student consider it as a blessing if he goes to a supervisor and the supervisor already has a topic for him? Because the supervisor must have researched the topic and found a novelty in that topic, and he's now presenting that topic to a student so that he can now continue the research. So isn't it like a piece of means a cake has been presented to the student and he can now carry on with the methodology rather than searching for something for a gap in it, for a gap in a topic?
A very interesting question, Zarak. Very interesting question. To be very honest, this was the discussion in our previous lecture. If I'm not wrong, I have shown you the table that, and most of you people were saying that I think the topic should be given by the student, not by the supervisor. You remember that lecture,
Yes, sir.
Zara?
Yes, I do. Yes.
And I think you were the one who gave the answer that it should be given by the student. The topic
So there
should
were
be, because
a
this
couple
is
other
his
students.
research.
So there were a couple others as well.
Sorry?
So I said there were a couple other students as well who answered it.
Yeah, I know that. I know. Yeah. So, but as far as your question is concerned, that is it a blessing? To me, I think uh, it is a kind of a blessing, yes, if a supervisor knows about a topic. So, generally, if you see there is I'm just sharing it with you. There is a Facebook page on scholarship networks. Most of you might have um, joined that Facebook page. So on this, you will actually see the posts. So some posts are that PhD positions available, apply in Italy, America, Canada, Australia. This, but somewhere there are some posts that like a professor is telling that okay, I need a PhD student for to work on this topic in, for example, artificial intelligence. So if the topic is with the and he is looking for a person, so this is a, yes, it is a blessing in disguise, but still it does not mean that the novelty has been identified by the supervisor. Supervisor has a topic, he wants to work in the artificial intelligence. Okay? Or let's suppose he wants to study the corrosion of the reinforcement in concrete. But the he has actually, if you see this picture, so he has helped you from moving from this general topic to a specific topic. But this eureka has not been achieved till. This will be achieved by the student. Zarak,
I do get it. Yes, sir.
you got the answer?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any other question? Okay, so when you are so from this we all come to know that reading and doing literature review is extremely important. If you don't do a good literature review, you won't be able to find a good novelty, and in your final defense, you will be in a big trouble. So how you read your research? So you just go through the anatomy of the paper, that is, you use Google Scholar, Google Research, ResearchGate, whatever. Select the titles, use the keywords, and if you find a research paper, just read the abstract first. Read the abstract. And then read the introduction, like what are the things he is trying to find out, and then just directly go to the conclusion. Look at the pictures which are in the or the tables, to just skim first. If you find this research paper interesting, then save it for the later. Use a notebook. You must have a notebook with you in which you should take notes. Whatever you are reading, just take notes. Use some softwares. I will teach you these software, EndNote or some similar tools for referencing and citations. Record everything. Whatever you have read, the problems, assumptions, methods of solutions, everything you should record it with date, time, research paper, and so that at the end you will have an extensive state of the art literature review with you, and you can easily find out the problem in it. So in the end, if you have seen a movie Beautiful Mind, so it is a very interesting movie on research and how nobility was. So in if you watch this movie, you will come to know that how what is a nobility and where you can find a nobility in the research, and beyond that, I would say that work on your novelty when you are doing your literature review. This is very important. Always work on the novelty when you are doing your literature review, and note everything. And this will actually help you in your future steps, future research, and I guess this is it for today. Thank you very much. If you have any question.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir, boss.
Well, सर ये थ्योरी के बाद नंबर ऑफ एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन हो जाती है और वो थ्योरी जब थ्रू आउट द वर्ल्ड एक्सेप्ट की जाती है तो फिर लैब बन जाती है। तो सर अगर एक बंदा रिसर्च कर ले और वो एक थ्योरी पेश कर ले तो आगे तो उस पे कोई दोबारा रिसर्च नहीं करेगा क्योंकि उसमें एक नॉवेल्टी नहीं होगी। तो फिर वो लैब में किस तरह कन्वर्ट करेंगे?
नहीं, देखिए लॉ को तो अभी आप छोड़ दें, ठीक है। लॉ बनाना भी, आप जो थ्योरी है ना, थ्योरी को वैलिडेट की एक चीज, so there is a term known as validation of the theory, ठीक है। so you always do the validation of the theory, you always do some modifications and you see that does this theory work if I change something in this. For example, if he says that uh, mm, I give you a very basic example, that by increasing the water to cement ratio, the strength decreases. Okay, everyone knows that, we are studying it from undergraduate. It is a kind of a theory, it is not a law, but what you do is you test this theory. How? By modifying everything, by changing, let's suppose, the mix designs, by changing the environmental conditions, by changing the loading patterns, by changing the equipment, by changing the sample size, by changing all these things. And you see that by changing water to cement ratio, does this still, is it still valid or not? So if it is, then you are actually validating, and it is a novelty in itself, and this is actually helping the theory to become a law. Okay, to make a law, it is not that straightforward, you have to do. So this is a kind of an experimentation to further validate and make it a law. Okay, Abbas, you got the answer?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
So regarding my previous question, sir, what if, sir, you mentioned that even if the professor gives us a topic, then you have to research so that you can find out the novelty in it. So what if I find something new into it, which even the professor was not expecting, something new to which the professor and I both don't have the expertise to solve it. Now it's new to us, but also not even possible for us to research on it or use that. We don't have the skills for it. Now, what should a student do or a professor?
So now a very interesting question is asked by Zarak, that he was able to find out the novelty. He find out a problem which is a novel it's in itself. No one knows about it. But now when he discussed this problem with his supervisor, he and his supervisor both does not have the expertise to solve this problem. So Zarak, for that I actually explained you that to do it you have to do the literature again. You will have to find out how you can solve it. But for example, you come to know that okay, to solve it you need supercomputers which are not available in Pakistan, or to solve this the experiment is, let's suppose, 2.5 years long experiment or 3 years long experiment. So if these are the problems, then what I would suggest you is that you should change your topic, because you have to see your limitations as well. What are your limitations? If you can, if you come to know about the solution, then always see the limitations And to find out how to solve this problem, you have to read a lot of papers that have someone tried to solve this problem before, or can a methodology be used to solve this? Bharat?
Yes, I do get it, sir. Sir,
Thank you.
I had another question as well.
Yes, Bharat?
So, a couple of months ago, I went to my professor so that I could share a topic of mine. Though that topic is a sub-subject of our entire the water resource and management, when I presented that idea to him, it was very unique. I'm not flatter myself, but he told me because it is out of my own domain to answer it, that is why you should not select this topic. Uh, then I had to drop this topic and follow another one. So, what should a student do, sir? Should he have some other arguments, or he should follow what the professor says?
Now you have to then weigh that, is that supervisor more important or the topic?
Um, I guess both.
If you think that this important is this topic is very important, then you should change your supervisor and go to someone else and who has the expertise. Or if the supervisor is important, then just leave the topic.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Yes, any other question?
Uh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have a question.
Yes, Saria?
सर कि
Saraya?
यस सर
What
सर ये
is
पता
your name?
जैसे सर ने अभी आज लेक्चर में पढ़ा है ना कि सर कोई भी सर हम आइडिया किसी रिसर्च से लेते हैं तो उसको भी सर साइट करना होता है। तो सर साइट करने के लिए अभी जैसे हम कोई टॉपिक या किसी की डिटेल सर उठा लेते हैं तो फिर उसके अंदर सर बाद में साइटेशन डालना जैसे मुश्किल हो जाता है। अभी हमें ये पता नहीं होता ये लाइन या ये आइडिया हमने यानी किस रिसर्च पेपर से उठाया होता है या वो साथ साथ हम साइट करते जाते हैं। और उसके अलावा सर जो आइडिया या जो हमने उसका देना होता है तो हो सकता है सर जो रिसर्चर है जिसका हम पेपर रीड करें उसने भी पीछे से वो आइडिया किसी से लिया हो तो हम यानी किसको साइट करेंगे?
So now he has asked two questions. Saraya has asked two questions. The first question is that he if he doesn't cite it initially and then after writing something he forgets from where he has got this idea. So for to answer this, yes, you have to know, or you have to cite it before, or it's better to make a small document of all the interesting points and then link it to some research paper. For example, you read some experimental methodology which you haven't read anywhere else, then you write it down and you write the experimental methodology, or just copy paste it and link it to that research paper. Okay, at the later stage when I will do my experimentation, I will do this experiment. For example, you come to know a model which was developed and used to study some property, for example, and you are very afraid that after some time you will forget like from where you have got this model. Or so it's better to make a Word document in which you just put all these interesting points which you come to know, make some notes and link it with the research paper, so that at the time when you use it, you know that from where you have used it. Now the second question is that if you find out a logic or a problem statement or some experimental methodology in a research paper which has cited it in from some other research paper, so which paper should you cite? So the answer is you should cite both of them. Okay.
ओके सर। ओके
Okay. Any other question?
सर इसके बारे में सर मज़ीद जैसे सर किसी ने मतलब डेटा काफ़ी सारा यानी कहीं से आइडिया कोई ले लिया, कोई पूरा पैराग्राफ कहीं से उठा लिया, सर उसका प्लेजरिज्म उसको अपनी वर्डिंग में हमने लिख दिया, फिर उसके बाद सर हम उसका साइटेशन या कोई और भी कर दे तो वो सर यानी चेक करने के लिए यानी सुपरवाइजर को या रिसर्च पेपर में सर
Saraya,
कैसे पता चल सकता है कि गलत साइट किया है या
Saraya,
सही साइट किया
to be very honest, if you copy paste a paragraph from another research paper and you change some wordings or you change some sentences or you cite some, it is not an accurate. Yes, supervisor will not know from which research paper you have copied it. Okay, if you have not cited, if you copy paste somewhere and you just give your research papers, how come supervisor, he doesn't know that from where you have copy pasted it. But there is a very important process, that is a plagiarism software. So when you submit your research paper, the plagiarism software will see and he will tell, okay, your research paper has a plagiarism of 25% or 30%. So in that case, your paper is automatically rejected by the editor. He won't send it to the reviewer. That it has a lot of plagiarism. Your supervisor
yes
will
sir
be very angry at you. The supervisor will be very angry at you that what have
नो
you
सर
done?
सर यस सर सर मेरा
Okay.
ये क्वेश्चन नहीं है वो तो सर कॉपी पेस्ट
So
सर मैंने वैसे एक एग्जांपल दिए
so
सर उसके अलावा सर मैं ये कह रहा था कि साइट सर बिल्कुल एग्जैक्ट यानी जो भी आइडिया लिया
so
उसके
it's
लिए
very
साइट
important.
वही करना जरूरी है
So it's very important that when you are citing, you you should cite even if you have got some idea from a research paper and you have mentioned it by your own self. There is no copy paste. If there is no copy paste, you are reading a research paper and you like two sentences or 2 points, and you then use those two sentences by your own self, in your own words, in your research paper. Again, still in that case, you will have to cite that research paper from which you have got the idea. So irrespective you have got the idea from a research paper, you will have to cite it even if you have written it by yourself. There is no single word from that. Okay.
ओके सर थैंक
Yes. So I guess it's
Excuse me, sir.
yes,
Uh,
Brother Khan.
s- Sir, at any point of a research domain, we can drop our previous topic and choose a new one.
Yes, why not?
At
We
any,
can
sir,
do it.
if we study or work on any topic from since 5 6 months, and still we can drop that topic out.
Like if if you are about to get time barred in 3 or 4 months, then I will not advise you to change your topic because you have like 3 months remaining to submit your to finish your master's degree. So in that case, it is not advisable. But if you have initially started your research, let's suppose it's just 2 months or 3 months or 5 months, yes, you can change your topic. You can even change your supervisor if you want.
Right, sir.
Any other question?